So it turns out that the Milky Way is lopsided, and so is the fact that I'm still sick. So somebody cue the music. That's right. It just came out not too long ago that the Milky Way is lopsided. It's not that pristine galaxy picture we see all the time. And I'm still wondering how the fuck did we get that picture where we can't even get out of the damn Milky Way. Fuck, we're barely anywhere near close to leaving our own solar system, but it's a pretty picture, you fuckers. This is Man Moonraker. This is episode 187. And that's what this article today is about, right? It's about people who want to take that chance. They want to take that chance to present an argument using their experience and their history, and then the rubber dickers, they come out of the woods. If you can't tell, I'm fighting on mucus. Apparently it looks like I had the flu, and I'm still not out of the woods. This is why there was no episode yesterday. I mean, yesterday I started like total shit. No lie. I was afraid. I was afraid to even open my mouth to speak to anyone, let alone try to record this. But this article came through today, and I was like, oh, geez, we've got to talk about it. I mean, I've got to put it out there to the crew to find out what they think. And here it goes. That's right, 187. 187 is telling you that maybe, possibly, we might have some kind of ET situation going on. But, you know, it's not the usual people who are calling foul. It's not the Stephen Greers or the MUFONs or anyone else, for that matter. It's not the Corey Goods of the world. And it's not our Peridolia King, Scotty. It's not him either. It turns out this time, it's a professor at Harvard. And this story just continues to grow and grow and grow. And this guy's name is Professor Avi, I don't know what the fuck, Avi Loeb. One of those. Let's call him Professor Loeb, or just Professor for short, until I get that shit right. The article that actually was printed by the Chicago Tribune says alien ship may be among us, Harvard astronomer insists, despite grumbling and criticism from peers. And of course that's going to happen. We all know that, because they did not think out of the box. So the professor here, he becomes the stepchild, the ugly little stepchild, the ugly duckling of the crew, right? Isn't that fucked up? The object we're talking about is a muamua. A mau, I don't know what the fuck it is. And basically, the professor here was the chairman of the Howard, see, it's illness, people, it's illness. Harvard University's astronomy department. And he's been known, the guy actually gets around. He does lectures. He publishes papers. He does all kind of stuff. But in a very modest way, according to this interview that they have here in the Chicago Tribune, he's really pretty much been modest. But all of a sudden, he turns out to be one of the most academically distinguished ET enthusiasts of this time. The professor is not pulling any fucks about this, not at all. When I did this interview, he mentioned that there were TV crews there to see him the day of the interview, and on top of that, 5 film companies were trying to get him to sign a deal to make a movie about his life. That's a little quick. I don't know. I don't know if I jumped that quick to make a movie about his life just yet. I mean, he could turn out to be a crackpot. I mean, nobody knows. In the interview, he noted there was something on his desk that it was a calculation that he had put together the night before, And according to him, it supports the theory that piece of elongated rock or spaceship or space sail is actually extraterrestrial. He believes that it's not a full ship or a full ET hardware, but it might just be a piece of it. A piece that's flying through the cosmos and is currently passing by the orbit of Jupiter. That's just bananas. Totally bananas. And the fact is that people are coming out the woodwork. People who are in astronomy are calling foul, and they just want him to be labeled as a rubber dicker. And that's really fucked up, because the truth is that someone, is sticking their neck out, saying, think out of the box, you dickheads. And there's a lot of reasons why he's saying that this might be ET. One of the most significant reasons is how fast it's moving. There is nothing else that he says that's in our solar system, at least, that moves that fast. And the thing is kicking some serious ass. Fuck, just last fall, it passed by our way, and it's already by Jupiter. Like, how long would it take one of us in our spacecraft to make it to Jupiter? I don't even want to fucking know. Alright, so anyway, one interesting fact here that I haven't come around before, or even discussed on here, is that Oumuamua is actually the word in Hawaii for scout. That's right, because apparently this thing came from a remote part of the Milky Way, or entered the remote part of the Milky Way, because we're in the middle of no fucks nowhere. And he says he is extremely confident that what he's saying is true, that this particular object came from another civilization, and that what he's saying should not be dismissed at all. And here's a quote: considering an artificial origin, one possibly is that Oumuamua, pronounced Oumuamua, and that's actually in this document if you want to read it, the link is in the description, is a light sail floating in interstellar space as debris from an advanced technological equipment. This is what he wrote with his colleague Shamil Bialy in the Astrophysical Journal Letters in November. And of course that drove ET people crazy. Us UFO people were like, hey, great. But then when you look at the renditions or the pictures of this thing, it looks like a fucking rock. But you got to give the guy credit. He's sticking his neck out. He's saying, hey, we really need to look at this because it does not follow any of the other characteristics of anything else that we've seen. And there's actually some quotes in here. The article is pretty long. It's interesting. And it talks about a lot about the professor, but also talks about how people are trying to shit on his parade. Here's one quote from a physicist out of Ohio State, Paul Sutter. Paul Sutter says that Oumuamua is not an alien spaceship, and the authors of the paper insult honest scientific inquiry to even suggest it. What the fuck, Paul? Can't these people think outside the box? Isn't that part of scientific inquiry? Are you just going to leave the shit you can't explain out of the picture? You're a dickhead. Oh, here's another one from Carolina State. And this is Ethan Siegel. He said, a shocking example of sensationalist, ill-motivated science. Are you fucking kidding me? The fucking guy, the professor, is trying to bring science to the topic, you dickhead. Yeah. That's the way it is. Yep. I'm telling you. You can't write this stuff. The guy is trying to bring some science to this and say, you academics, stop fucking around. Stop looking at the shit that you can explain, and let's go for the shit you can't explain. Isn't that what scientific query is about? Isn't that why you have theories and shit like that? What the fuck is wrong with these people? I really want to say a few other choice words, but I'm trying to take it easy because my throat hurts, and this is not really helping me at all. Over the last 3 decades, Mr. Ivy League professor has had hundreds of astronomical publications on his resume, and apparently he likes to look at black holes and early galaxies and other subjects, but none of them have ever ended up in the tabloids until he said, this motherfucker could be an alien. You can't write this, how negative people are. You know, you got to be cool about it, folks. Let the guy talk. Let the guy talk. There's nothing wrong with him saying that maybe there should be another theory we should chase. Really to his point, has anyone suggested why this object moves so fast? Why is it the shape that it is? And I think there was something out there about how reflective it was. But instead, they just wanted to throw him under the bus, give him a good rubber dicking, and try to destroy his career. Listen, the guy isn't running. He isn't chairman of Harvard for some unknown reason. He's there because he knows what the fuck he's talking about. He's got 3 decades of explaining shit. Give the guy a break. And I'm afraid. I'm thinking History Channel might be the one to jump on this, just like they're doing Project Blue Book. But shit. I mean, let's find out what the fuck is going on first before we put it into a miniseries. I, for one, am going to give the guy... I'm going to give him the opportunity to come straight on this. And, you know, we should see what is it this his formula is trying to put together. What is his equation trying to say? And I'm sure it has to do, again, with the movement of this object. And it's funny how shortly after Mau came out, how all of a sudden people started saying that they've been, and organizations are saying that they've been tracking these deep space objects that are not coming from our own solar system. Oh, all of a sudden there were like 3 or 4. Yeah, we're tracking them. But why is it that this one is so much more different than the other ones? Fuck, this thing almost snuck by, to be honest, because of how fast it was moving. But then again, that tells you we know zero fucks about our own solar system. We have no idea what the fuck is coming in and out. As a matter of fact, right before I came to do this particular episode, there was an article about how many freaking small meteors crash into the Earth every year. The number is significant. And actually, the article talked about, and I don't have it in the description, sorry, but it talked about how can you find them, where they usually hit, and examples of the small ones that people were finding in their travels. There is no way around this other than let the guy do some work. Let him apply some science. And here's the thing with science. If you got a theory, you got to prove it to somebody. So this is going to be a long fight for him. It's a fight that's going to happen way after this object leaves the solar system. And probably gets the fuck out of the galaxy too. If it makes it, who knows? Yeah, it probably crashes on somewhere. And they have cool alien technology and, you know, create some kind of a superhero to come back and lead us into a peaceful future. I don't know. This is the freaking drugs talking right now. It's getting a little crazy. And by the way, Ronny Dawson is on the chat. For those of you who don't know yet, when I'm doing these episodes during the week, it's actually live on Spreaker.com. It's not at a specific time because no fucks given. Life happens. I don't get to do it all at the same time. But you know what? I bet you Ronny thinks that we should give this professor a fighting chance and let him present his full argument regarding whether or not Oumuamua, the scout, is actually ET technology. If anyone would like to hear that argument, it would be Ronny Dawson because he is an experiencer. Listen, in general, we got to give this guy a chance. Let the guy present his shit and tell us what the fuck is going on. What is this thing? Where is it going? And here's the other thing. We should know by now where the fuck this thing is going. Is it going somewhere that might be pre-programmed? Where the fuck is it going? I mean, we've got this great lopsided fucking picture of the galaxy now. Where the fuck in that lopsidedness is the bitch gonna slide out of? You know, there's things like this that we can talk about if they let this guy present his findings, present his equation, his theory, and take us down the rabbit hole that he's going. Because apparently him and his co-author are going there alone. And they probably won't even pursue this. They'll do his life history thing, and there you go. It sounds fucked up. And then we won't hear nothing from him again after that. But let's give a guy a break. So, this is the end of it. My throat's killing me. I can't do it no more. But because we're talking about a possible interstellar spaceship, we're going to end this episode with a spaceship orchestra, because that's just the way I roll. Peace out. Hasta mañanas. Adios. And don't have any ideas about any spacefaring ships unless you got all the info, for the rubber dickers are going to come after you and give you a good one. Ciao.